My name is Oliver.
I'm Mason.
I'm Daniel.
And we're alumni from team A4886A. We're just going to have a brief discussion about our VexU experiences and try and convince you to try VexU at your school. All right. So first question we have is, what was your VexU program like before joining? All right, Oliver, lead us off.
So I went to team MSOE, that's the Milwaukee School of Engineering, right? My shirt today, Milwaukee School of Engineering.
Represent.
And they had a pretty well-developed program. There's a lot of people on the team right now. There's like 15 or something, which is kind of crazy. So it's pretty well developed. We won the Excellence Award at Worlds like 3 years ago. So we still have some people on the team now that were part of that then. So it's pretty well developed.
All right. I joined SCSU. Let's go Jax Robotics. And Jax just came off of winning the Excellence Award in over-under. So joining the program was a bit like, whoa, I feel like I know nothing, even though I did have my own experiences. And it was developed, but it was really just a small core of like 6 or so people who basically had their role, they knew what they were doing, and they were very good at it. But when I joined, the team doubled, maybe even tripled in size. So we were kind of growing to establish more of what Oliver's program has, in that more of a welcoming environment and a continual environment of learning. And as we'll get to later, that sort of weird middle ground kind of affected my immediate involvement in the team.
So I went to the University of Minnesota, Twin Cities, and we didn't exactly have a VexU program. There used to be one about 5 years ago. Their last competitive year was Tower Takeover, and then COVID happened, the team died out, and all the parts basically went into cold storage for years. And in about May of our senior year of high school, I reached out to UMN Robotics, asked if there was any interest in restarting their VexU team, and leadership voted, and they allowed me to restart the team, which I was very happy about. So we started out small, used the parts that we had, and also bought a lot of new parts, and we were able to have a competitive VexU team in our first year back. And we qualified for Worlds.
Okay. So how did you guys each first get involved in your program? And how quickly were you almost accepted or really felt a part of your program?
I can go first. I started pretty much right at the beginning of the year. I went to the org fair. My school had an org fair, and I talked to the guys that were running the robotics table, and they talked about how they were, open to new members, and they were interested in me joining. So I went to a couple of their meetings, and I was pretty quickly given a role on the team. They could sense that I was committed, so I was accepted pretty quickly.
I got first involvement. I was really excited to check out the team. Not only just because they had such a successful season, but because I love X. So I was emailing the president before school even started. I was trying to get in contact with the project manager, and I did these little things, but I wasn't really too involved. I look at a notebook or whatever beforehand. And then I went to an org fair like my school had too. I actually met some of these people. And I knew my role from the start was probably going to be notebooking, and I embraced it. But with that, I didn't really feel like super connected with the group. It was those 6 guys who had just come off an amazing season, and getting connected with that was something that took a while. And really only these last few months do I really feel like those are my guys now too. Like, these are the people that I'm ready to sit in the lab till 4 a.m. for almost a week straight with. So it took some time, but with my experience, it still took time. So I'm a part of it now for sure. Have the reins all dialed in.
Yeah, so like I said, I reached out to UMN Robotics in about May, I think early May, and I got a response that they were open to it. I met with the president of UMN Robotics over the summer, and after that, the leadership team voted, and they allowed me to restart the program, which I was very happy about. At the beginning of the year, Human Robotics does like outreach events, so I know people heard about Human Robotics because it's like an organization that has projects under it. So we are not the only like competitive project. There's also Lunabotics, RoboMaster, a Robot in 3 Days project, and now VexU. And we had multiple people join and express interest at the first few meetings. Unfortunately, a lot of them did not stick around, but I totally understand that because trying to get parts and just have anything to do in the first about 2 months of the school year was very difficult. But the core team that was very committed stayed, and I am very happy about that. I mean, a few of them already knew each other because they were already either on a team or they were from good teams that already like knew each other. But we understood each other pretty well, and the trip to Worlds was what really I feel connected us very like closely. 15 hours in a car tends to do that.
Both ways, right?
Both ways,
Yeah.
15 hours both ways.
All right, so by the end of the season, what was the scale of your role? And I would like to add to that, how did your experience in high school influence this eventual like role?
So when I joined VexU Robotics, I think my role was like a lot narrower than what it was on the high school team. So like on high school, I was like co-notebooker. I did notebook with you. I did a lot of building. I did some designing. But when I joined VexU, it was pretty much all designing. I didn't do anything with a notebook. I didn't really do anything strategy-wise. But so yeah, at the beginning of the season, it was all designing, and then I was eventually given more and more, what do you call it, like designing tasks. Yeah, more responsibilities as the season went on. And yeah, I was just pretty much put in charge of mechanisms, and they would say, hey, design this mechanism in 2 weeks or something, and I get that done. And that was pretty much my whole role.
And if you want to tie this into probably what you're going to do next year, what's the scale of your role going forward?
Oh, right. Yeah, so I am gonna like expand my role a little bit. I will be doing more with the notebook, and I'll actually be able to do stuff over the summer now, which I did not do last year. So I'll take some larger roles in the like actual planning and strategy and stuff like that. I'm the design lead for next year, so I'll be taking a pretty big lead in that. So
Okay. So with me, once again, at the start of the season, I was getting involved with this group, and I was co-notebooker. But as the season went on, our main notebooker, he got a club role, financial advisor or something like that, along those lines, where he had to manage finances for not just the VexU team, but the other 2 projects that we also had. So that took a significant amount of time out of that. And at one point he was like, hey Mason, do you have the notebook at this point? And I said yes. So last 2 months or so, actually probably more like 3, I was basically doing the majority of the notebook. He still had a significant part. He looked over a lot of it. He did a lot of the pages that were more CAD related, as he had more experience in our CAD software. And I basically took complete control over that at that point. And with that, as these later competitions went on, I also did other things. Like when we had our team, we would do this interview prep where we would go over sample questions and we'd do all that. I was doing that same type of stuff with the team. And at Worlds, we had a sit-down meeting. We had also did another meeting like that, and I led that. So going into this next year, not only am I going to be continuing in this role, but I'm also going to be kind of finding ways to give these resources to the rest of our team to aid in our project management aspects, and not just in having a good notebook and being able to communicate to judges effectively, but to communicate with each other effectively. So really just growing into that role and knowing my own strengths and how I can, I guess, apply those to the rest of the team.
So since the beginning of the season, I have been officially the project lead, which basically means that I run the team, which means trying to figure out what parts we need, ordering the parts, going to all the leadership meetings for human robotics, working with the other team leads to coordinate workspaces, and all these just management level things. But I have also tried to stick with the actual robot level design and the team level. So I mostly did software throughout the season. I am a computer science major, so that makes sense. I was not part of the design team like I was last year. I did a little bit of building when I was needed, because I mean we're a small team, so we basically needed every single pair of hands working at most times. So I definitely did less of the robot level things than I did in high school, but I did get to do a lot more management level, which was a pretty big shift even from being a team captain in high school, because normally these were things that a coach would do, but now I am officially the coach on robot events, which means that I have a lot more responsibilities that I have to deal with. But unfortunately, I have an amazing team that really just took charge of the robot level things, and that allowed me to deal with the management level, because that was a very big change for me, very new, but I did enjoy it. And I am excited to do more robot level things next year, and definitely over the summer. I have a lot of VEX summer projects.
Okay.
I think we all do.
So with this, what was the biggest challenge you or your team faced, or maybe both, throughout the season?
Ooh.
This is a big one. You want me to go first?
Yeah, I'll need some time to think about that.
Okay, so for our team, once again, we doubled, almost tripled in size. So what is it? Our product manager had to find a way to coordinate all these other people and also get the same amount of work done that he did in the previous season on a way harder game with a way harder design. And I guess that kind of boiled over into other aspects too. You know, if we're falling behind on building, it's kind of hard to program a robot and all that. So managing these tasks was definitely the biggest thing in the team perspective, because we didn't know the strengths of everyone. We didn't know what each person could do. So really balancing that sort of communication task delegation was the big thing in the team aspect. And then on a personal level, I guess the hardest thing was kind of seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. But it's the whole first semester, you don't really have any competitions really, or if you do, it's like one right before spring break. So really focusing on the fact that you have all this work to get done, manage school, and the fact that we're almost tired. We've done this all since 8th grade, you've done it since 7th grade. So keeping that desire and that passion to keep working and not go off and want to do something else was something that was a lot. And there was definitely periods, especially during like winter break, where I was like, I don't know if I can do this next year. But with the way the season ended and the way that I've made some great relationships, I think I am gonna stick through with it. So that's my spiel. All right, who wants next?
So for us, the hardest part was definitely funding and getting parts. So funding itself was great. Human robotics leadership helped me through the entire process of securing funding through the school, which helped me very much. It was getting parts in that took a while because of ordering difficulties. I mean, the school hadn't ordered from VEX in years, so they weren't set up for it. So we didn't get parts until like right before winter break, which was very difficult on the team to find things to do, because you can't start building if you don't have parts.
And I mean, SCTCC was like February, right?
Yeah, so we basically had to build robots in 2 months, which at that point, it was just the core, very committed team of 6 of us. So we locked in, and we got robots done. We actually managed to get second at SCTCC, the competition. Yes, we lost to Jax. Only lost to Jax. We had some pretty good stuff happen at that competition for us. Yeah, we got kind of lucky, I will say that. But still, at our first competition back, definitely the underdogs. Very happy with how we performed. And after that, I mean, so basically just getting parts in, and then just having enough hands to build to design and build 2 robots, and then get them programmed with not having enough space in the robots to put in tracking wheels. That was kind of crazy, but we got it done.
So for me, I don't think MSOE, like the robotics team, had as many issues as you guys are talking about. And I didn't really have any personal issues either. I would say the biggest one that I can see is probably we lost like 2 or 3 people from the beginning of the year to like when we went to Worlds. It was, I don't know if that's like a commitment issue or there was something wrong with the team that they didn't like it, but it was just kind of unfortunate to see that there were people that were interested that ended up leaving later.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think you said you had that same issue.
At the beginning of the year, but that was
Yeah.
because we weren't able to get parts in, and you can't properly design or build if you don't have enough parts.
And I mean, my team also had that issue too.
Yeah, so I think
But we also didn't have any shortage of hands. So
I think it is a
everyone.
it is a fairly common issue, but it was
I mean, in college, there's just so many opportunities too.
Yeah.
Like I know my school, a smaller engineering school with graduating classes of maybe 100, maybe for mechanical or something. Like they still have issue. There's still 4 or 5 different clubs each person can go to.
Yeah.
They can go build a race car. They can go build a NASA rover. They can do all these other things, and Vex is just another option.
It also
for a lot
turns
of
out that
people.
college is kind of hard sometimes.
crazy.
I think we'll get to that later too, yeah. Because that is actually the next question. How did you personally balance the increased workload of school with the larger project scale?
What a segue.
Also mention your major and maybe some classes you've taken.
So, as I said, I'm a computer science major. So I started out, I had to take all the required classes to apply to my major. So calculus to a writing class, physics, physics 1, and obviously
Discrete.
Oh yeah, discrete mathematics, and obviously computer science classes, which were my favorite. I very much enjoyed those. But balancing time, so if you have like things you want to do, robotics and sleep, so you can kind of just like reduce your sleep and increase robotics.
Yeah, there's
Not a recommended strategy.
well, there's this reel I saw the other day where it's like, what is it? Good robot, good sleep schedule, good grades, and only
Yeah.
2 of the levers can be on at each time.
Yep. But no, do not cut out sleep. I still try to get enough sleep whenever I could. Monster Energy, yes. But basically, Google Calendar. Make a plan and stick to it. And also have a time that like, I'm gonna go to bed. Give yourself 8.5 hours if you need 8. So then you can not fall asleep for half an hour because you're thinking about robotics. Great strategy, still get enough sleep. But just schedule out your time, get your schoolwork done, and then do robotics.
I'm pretty much going to say the same thing. Schedule, I use Outlook. I mean, it's pretty much the same thing. So scheduling is really helpful, and like for the whole studying thing, like if you want to play video games but you also have to study, like just study, and it's something that you'll have to kind of like what's it called, like practice that self-discipline of studying instead of playing video games or whatever.
Yeah.
And in relation to robotics, like my team, we meet 3 days a week for 3 hours at a time. So just set that aside and focus on robotics then. And the school part, just get a schedule and have some self-discipline.
So, what is it? I guess I'm very similar to these two. I'm studying mechanical engineering, so these classes were difficult. Yeah, so we had a minor disturbance there, sorry about that. So I'll continue where I left off with, balancing workload. So I'm studying mechanical engineering, and for some reason I thought it'd be a bright idea to put a lot of my easier classes in the first semester. And I also wasn't involved in the team too much at this point. I'd still done some notebook and all that, but we only had one competition then, and our one after break wasn't for another month. So what I'm trying to say is I didn't have to balance too much that first semester, but the second semester was my canon event, and my classes didn't go quite as well. So I was basically learning what people learned last semester and how to balance things my spring semester. So I was in difficult classes and all these things, but I guess one of the things that helped me balance the robotics side of it was just being honest with my team. I had an amazing co-notebooker with me who we would continually delegate tasks, ask each other questions, and we were both pretty efficient because we had done it in the past. But with that, just understanding that he was busy, so I took over the reins at the end of the season. I was busy for a large segment in there, just adjusting to a new study routine and everything. So he took it over for a bit, and just being honest with the team is what helped that. But also, and the school aspect, you just have to set a time apart. I basically said, hey, I need to work this like a 9 to 5 because that's what my classes are. They're that hard. I need to study that much to be at least somewhat successful in them. So yeah, really just blocking off time for things is another big thing that I did as well.
Yeah. Make a priority list too.
Priority list, yeah.
School first.
What is it? There's like a urgent, important, not important, urgent. There's like some type
Robotics.
Okay. Okay, so my next question, I know Oliver mentioned this a little bit, but how did the team culture change really as you went to VexU versus, our small little knit group here?
I feel like I'll have to think about that one too.
Okay.
I'm not ready to answer that one.
I mean, from my perspective is, once again, the culture didn't really change. I feel like a lot of members had the perspective that it wasn't changing until the end of the year, where it's still kind of hard because of the way that our team was established. We still had an unofficial like core group, and when there was some people who were just outside of that because what is it? It's hard not to be connected to people when you're in the lab till 4 a.m. day after day. Like those are the people who become your guys, and the other people who show up, it's hard to view them in the same light, even though reality is they're part of their team and they're still probably contributing in many great ways. So. I guess that culture, I would say, like that knit group that I eventually grew part of was basically just like high school. But, and those other people are more like, we may have a less committed member or something. And I guess the culture is more of formality rather than these are your guys at all times. There's a little more delegation and professionalism involved in it. And I guess that also just kind of comes off in the way that they run competitions too. Interviews are so strict and all these other things where it kind of just builds up to be more, I would say, professional. So
yeah, it sort of feels like in high school we were a great team because we were all friends, and now we are a team becoming friends, kind of like the other way around.
That's good.
And both are good. I do feel like high school is like working as where your team is your core friend group really helps you just work great together. And yeah, I mean, VexU, it's a more professional, but I mean, when you're working so much with these people, they become your friends, and it's fun.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with everything you said there. I will add that keep in mind that we are freshmen right now, and so like as we spend more time with these people in our robotics teams,
this group can get even closer.
Yeah, exactly. Like what you've been saying. So that's all I wanted to add for that.
Okay. So second to last question, how does leadership and communication work on your team?
I guess I can go first. We have an executive board of about like 6 or 7 people that takes care of everything, and we run most of the stuff on our team through Discord, so like we send out announcements and stuff through that. I recognize that probably isn't like the best way of doing stuff. Like it's not really great for like documenting stuff.
Yeah, if you plan on changing, you could mention that too. If you plan on like a method, maybe you're gonna add something, or maybe you're like, I recognize this.
I mean, I think we probably will stick with Discord because it is just the easiest way to do it.
Everybody has it already.
Yeah, but what was the second part of the question? Like, how do you?
And communication, leadership, and communication.
Oh yeah, leadership. So yeah, we just have an executive board. We have different people that take care of like sponsors and merch and planning and design or delegating stuff.
Okay,
So
so
yeah,
set responsibilities
Yes.
and roles and stuff. Okay. So I guess on my team it's kind of similar too. So similar to UMN Robotics, SDSU has a robotics club in which we have multiple projects under. So you'd have your executive team that runs the whole club, and then you'd have your project manager who runs more of your project-oriented stuff. So with that, the project manager had almost sole authority, I guess, in many of the aspects because they are your mentor. They are in charge of distributing whatever funds they do get from the upper club. And that was kind of the way that it was. And it wasn't as much a problem when they were a smaller team, but we kind of learned the hard way this season that some of that's going to change. So we plan to have sub-team leads, we plan to have new communication systems. On top of our pre-existing Discord, we might have a platform called Notion in which we'll have tasks written out, announcements, and more of a professional setting. And then Discord will be more for quick communications or, oh, I found this video. Discord will be more for the casual communication. And there's other things we use in there, like when we're editing a notebook, someone leaves a comment so I know what I gotta work on or something. There's a variety of different methods, but it was majority Discord, I would say, and direct in-person communication too.
Yeah, so ours is pretty similar. We have a UMN Robotics Discord, and we have our own dedicated channels. And I mean, UMN Robotics is like the umbrella with multiple projects, and I am a project lead for VexU. We didn't have any sub-team leads next year. We will next year because we arranged that already, and we will be finishing that out over the summer to be ready for next season. And yeah, basically, I as the project lead, I deal directly with UMN Robotics leadership. They help me, and I have a leadership meeting every 2 weeks, and yeah. What?
Oh yeah, I guess on topic of the meeting, my group also has a meeting too, where the robotics club and the project managers, executive members, all that, they'll have a bi-weekly meeting.
Mhm.
So it's just, continual little updates like that. And I guess we're also gonna have more of a formal Vex meeting weekly too, because then, it's easy to have these set building days and such, but actually communicating these things between teams and making sure, hey, this thing that we're working on, it was going over schedule, should we keep going with it? Having that communication between teams and set expectations like that is just another thing that we're working on in that.
Yeah. I will add, my school has like an overarching robotics club that encompasses the VexU and the Lunabotics, and we have a BattleBots team, and there's
CCR.
one other, I think. Yeah, but the VexU really does not interact, or I don't think the teams really interact with each other. It's
Okay.
like we just have the VexU team president, and to my knowledge, he doesn't really interact with any of the other robotics teams, which is, I guess, different than your
Yeah, okay.
experiences.
Yeah,
So.
we don't necessarily interact with the other teams, but I mean, I do see the other team leads at all the leadership meetings, and also we work out of the same lab. So that's nice because as a freshman and a brand new project lead, I have a lot of questions, and they are very helpful.
Okay. So, last question is, has this experience in VexU changed or influenced any thoughts you might have on a future career or anything along those lines?
I mean, being on a VexU team now allows me to do a lot more. So I haven't necessarily thought of how it might affect a future job or employment opportunity, but it will definitely help me with one of the projects that I am working on right now. I believe that it will really help my resume because I am fully documenting it, and it will be later integrated into Team UMN. But until it's working, it will be a personal project that I will be able to show off and talk about to potential employers.
Continue to learn from, yeah.
And learn from, yes. VexU just now it's even better than high school in the way that you can choose what exactly you want to pursue. So if you're like a mechanical engineer, you can pursue just like custom parts or custom designs. And as a computer science major, it's given me an opportunity to do things like custom electronics that I normally wouldn't do, but now I will both have the funding and a reason to dedicate time specifically to learning these things and doing them.
Yeah, that was very well said. I agree with most of that. I don't think my outlook on a job has really shifted from high school to VexU. Before going to college,
I mean, has it like reinforced maybe what you've done?
oh yeah, it's definitely reinforced it. But I was gonna say, like, before I went to college, my passion was designing things, and it's pretty much stayed the same through college. So
Yeah, I would pretty much reiterate off of that. It's pretty much just reinforced of what I thought in high school, you know. Such a amazing senior season we had, and just going out like that and continuing to see the passion that I have for the design process, and continuing to see how that's not only something that I'm still enjoying, but something that I'm also just as successful at in college, is just that reinforcement that I needed to get me through some of these hard classes and frankly bad test scores. So I guess it hasn't really changed too much as it has reinforced. It's kind of reiterated other ideas in my head, such as maybe mentoring at one point, or at least volunteering or more local competitions when they'll let me. So yeah, I guess that's the main thing there. So yeah, that's our story, right?
actually, I have one more thing to add.
You got one more thing?
Yes,
Okay.
and we don't have it written down on the question list here, but I have a question for you guys.
Okay.
Like, how would you compare the game rules and like robot design from high school?
This
to
is actually a
VexU?
really good question.
Yeah, like, what do you think about that? Like, which one do you
Because-
like more?
Let's put it this way: as a high schooler who came off of going the world and being competitive, you're like, oh, this is gonna be easy. Oh, we're gonna figure it out. You get to college and you're like, dang, this is a bit harder than I thought. A 15 by 15 by 15 robot is a bit harder to build than an 18 by 18 by 18. Let alone different strategy constraints, different ideas that they'll even let you do, like the buddy climb. That wasn't even a thing in V5RC, was it?
No.
Exactly. So having these additional things to consider too is what expanded the game, and 3D printing and custom pieces and all these just added so much more to it that honestly you just weren't even fully recognizing.
You can just do so much more, and also you're now going against teams that have been designing these custom things like custom manufacturing processes and also custom electronics for multiple years, and now you're trying to compete against them and trying to figure them out on your own, and yeah, it's a lot more difficult than you might expect.
Yeah, I would agree with those. The difficulty and the customizability have definitely been ramped up a notch. Like, one of the things that I experienced, especially at Worlds, is like last year in high school, like I would walk around the tables and be like, oh, there's another Metabot, there's another Metabot. It's pretty much all the same, especially this year when there was pretty much one meta design. But like walking around the VexU tables at Worlds, like the robots are completely different and unique, and it was really cool to see.
Well, they had the same concepts in mind because there's only certain things you can do in the
Yeah.
game, but seeing
Different
different
executions.
approaches.
Yeah, it's just like really expands what you're able to do in VexU, which is awesome.
So much more freedom.
Yep.
And also you can choose what you want to do, because you can use it as a learning opportunity for yourself to just learn about a new
And-
process.
I mean, the only caveat I'd like to say to that is you got to communicate that with your team.
Absolutely.
Because there is certain expectations in there, and once again, if it is a more formal setting, you can't go work on some side project and then be like, oh crap, the robot ain't built because I haven't been building what I'm supposed to build. Like, there's still expectations in that I've definitely seen on my end for sure. So yeah.
That's what the summer's for.
All right, I think that's it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks for watching.